In this video, we're going to get a bit more advanced with paragraph styles and linking and applying more than one paragraph style at once. So in this case, I'm going to use directory as the information. So directories are kind of great because they are just a whole bunch of short paragraphs, and paragraph styles are immensely powerful in working with these. So here I have a directory information of our faculty and what they teach and the media that they most typically teach in those classes. So I've done a couple of things here first. I've already set up my paragraph styles. So I've got a style for each type of information: the name, the degree, job title, the media that is taught and worked in, phone number, and email. I've also made this 2 columns. So the way to do that, if you've got a moderate sized screen, is to look for this sort of 3-stripe icon. That's your number of columns. If you don't have that, you can go to Object, Text Frame Options, or Command B. So there's some other great stuff in here, just as a side note. So here, your vertical justification is in here. This is something that a lot of people sort of scramble looking around for because it's a lot easier to find in things like Word. But that's how you would change that option. There's also an inset. So if I unlink that, I can set some insets on this type box if that makes your layout a little bit easier. I can also change the gutter. So the gutter is this space here, and it's sort of the vertical break between columns. In normal sort of 10 to 12 point type, this gutter size is usually enough. If you get any bigger than that, you're going to want to start increasing it because your type size is bigger and those things need to work together. For our purposes, because these are short lines, I'm alright because I have extra space that's just built in to these. So these 2 boxes are also in your bar there, and if I change them, you can see they also change in my top bar, so they're exactly the same. So that's the text frame options box, short little side note there. So I've also gone through this information and I have removed all the double returns between names, because the proper way to do space between things is to use space before and space after. So I have that already set up in my paragraph styles, and I have talked about that in previous videos. Okay. I'm going to go up to the top here and just going to show you how the styles look. And I've got keyboard commands for everything here, 1 through 6. So I've got name, degree, title, media, phone number, and email. So on the email, you see that there's a space after, and that's how I'm going to separate these. So if I decide later that the space is too much or too little, I would just double click that email style and edit the indents and spacing. So I'm going to click off of this so I can show you what else I've done to these styles, just as a time saver here. So under name, I'm going to edit that. I've told it that the next style, this is something we haven't filled in yet, is degree. Under degree, the next one is job title. Under job title, the next one is media. Under media, the next one is phone. Under phone, the next one is email. And under email, the next one again is name, so we kind of go full circle. So I can use this next setup to format whole chunks at once. So I can email Bob's listing, right or control click on name and say apply name, then next style. And because that next style has a next style, it will keep going until it reaches the end of the highlighted bit. And there I formatted this listing all at once. So we have a couple exceptions in here. So for example, David Wells has 2 titles, but because he doesn't teach a studio class, he doesn't have a studio area. So I'm probably just going to format this one because I've got these great shortcuts already set up, since that's an exception. So as with a few of us, Janice has 2 titles, like David, and no media line. So I think she should. So I'm going to edit this. I'm going to type in here art therapy as a media. Now, I couldn't do my shortcut as I did on Bob's because I have this extra title line. And I can fix that with what's called a soft return. So I'm going to click before the second title and delete it. And where I would normally hit return, I'm going to hold the shift key and press return. And since I have my hidden characters on, or invisible characters on, you can see I get this weird little partial bracket. That's a soft return. So I'm going to format this one by one to show you what that soft return does. So I'm going to click up here, Command 1, Command 2. So here we go, Command 3. That formats it as one paragraph because that's between 2 paragraph symbols. The soft return does not count as a new paragraph. Okay. So Isabel's listing follows the normal format, so I can right or control click on name and say apply name and then next style. Here we've got a another one that needs a area, so I'm going to type in so here I need to fix this the same way, so I'm going to delete the return between the 2 titles and hold shift and press return to get that soft return. And now, since I've got my 6 pieces of information, I can right or control click on name, apply name in the next style, and I'm set. So same for Melanie. Now, because I've fixed this one, and the next one after follows the correct format, I can actually do multiple ones of these at once. So I'm just going to skim through the rest of this and make sure my information is in order. Of course, if you're given text, sometimes, you can't fix information that's not there because that's not something that you should be doing. So I'm going to do what I can to make this be as regular as possible, and then I can format the rest of this with just one of those right-clicking on name and saying apply name in next style. So here I've already put my title as 2 lines in 1 paragraph. Same in this example. So the rest of this should be good to go, so I'm going to give it a shot here. What's kind of nice about this is if there's a mistake in that information, you will know immediately because the formatting will be off. So I clicked at the end here, and I shift-click up here to select all the type in between. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see that. And then I'm going to right or control click on my name style and say apply name and next style, and let's see what we get. Oh, we're off by 1. So that happened, of course, in my own listing. I had to somehow be a monkey wrench in here. So I'm just going to hit undo, and I'm going to see what I can do to fix this. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove this line because that's not really a accurate thing. So now I've got all these little paragraphs, so I'm going to hit the delete to the right key and do a shift return for my soft return. And now that should be fixed. So 2 lines of title and then 1 of media. So I'm going to click in Melanie's name, which is the last unformatted name, shift click in Agnieszka's email, right click on name, apply name to the next style, and there I'm all set. So I have heard people talk about having done multiple pages, but of course their information was perfect to begin with. So I used this information because I knew it was imperfect and it would give me a chance to talk about that soft return, and also using this apply next in slightly different circumstances, and also a great way to pick up on if there is a mistake in the info or additional lines, because the styling should be nice and consistent and it should immediately pop out at you. So there's some other things I want to do here. So I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to hit return, go up there and type in Edgewood College, Art Department, Faculty. So I want this title to go all the way across, and I don't want it to hit the gutter like the rest of the type, but I also want to keep it in the same text box because it's going to be much easier to control the spacing. So if I had other departments after this, and I wanted a big break across, I'd want to be able to do the same thing, and I want it to be able to go all the way across the whole text box. So I need a new style for this. I don't want to use the name one. So the first thing I'm going to do is click Basic Paragraph, because I want to erase any formatting that's on there. So I'm going to style this manually and then go back and pick it up. So let's see here. I'm going to go, well, help if I would select it first. I'm going to triple click to get the whole paragraph. All caps. 20 point bold. A couple more, why not? So I'm going to make a new style to pick that up. Double click on paragraph style 1. And I'm going to call it section title. Not based on anything. It picked up all of my formats. I am going to want a space after it for sure. So I'm going to go to my indents and spacing, give it a nice space after, and then I'm going to go to span columns. So I'm going to, in this very simple window, tell it to span columns, and I'm going to leave it on all. So if you had, say, like a magazine or a newspaper layout, and you only wanted it to span, say, 3 of the 6 columns, you can tell it that here. So you would put it to 3 in your 6-column layout. Since I only have 2 columns, I don't really have to worry too much about that. So they have space before and after span that work a little bit different than the indents and spacing. This will work fine for our purposes and it's more familiar. So if you're a little confused by that, if this space after works for you, or in space before, awesome, stick with it. Okay, so this still doesn't fit on one line, so I'm going to pretend that this is my longest title. So I could do a couple things. I could go to hyphenation and uncheck hyphenate, and faculty would go to the second line. It's a little messy. Let's just say I sent this out and they said, no, that title needs to be even bigger. So I'm going to go back into my basic character formats. And I'm going to go up to 30. And that leading looks pretty good. I'm going to actually decrease it a few points. So now I have kind of done a combo here. I did some manual styling. I picked it up in a paragraph style. I did some further editing in my options here. And I did my span columns. So I'm going to click OK on that. So I'm going to go back to my black arrow, and then I'm going to hit the W key to go to preview mode so I can see this without. So last thing I want to tell you about columns is putting breaks in. So sometimes you can just change the height of the box to bump, say I bumped Melanie's whole listing over. The other way to do that is to put a break in. So with columns, if you click before the line you want to go up, you can hit the Enter key. So on your laptop keyboards, that might be function return or option return. It depends on the type of laptop you have. If you have a full keyboard, the Enter is over in that calculator section by your right hand. So when I hit Enter, it inserts a column break. So I'm going to press the W key to get things back. And I still have my invisible characters on. And I'm going to zoom in down here, and you can see this little mark here that indicates my column break. So it's kind of like a page break, which you may have used in Word or other word processing software. This is just a column break that bumps that up to the next one. So there we've got the ins and outs of next style and apply style and next styles. So we formatted text in chunks. We used it to sort of call out errors in those listings. We added columns, and we did span columns to a style.